Welcome back to Change Your Perspective, Change Your Awareness, Change Your Life. Dr. Michelina AF here, hashtag that felon doctor. And I am here today to talk about lust. And dear God, do I love talking about lust, because I feel like so often we shy away. Sex and money are two of the most controversial things that we experience, talk about, focus on pretty much in this life ever. And so what I like to do is talk about controversial topics, because why not? And when we're talking about lust, most often it has to do with promiscuity, right? You're being promiscuous and you're being sexual. But lusting after things is coveting. It is being covetous. It is, I want, and lust and greed are very close in this kind of, where it's like, lusting is I want this thing, I need to have it. Greed is I want more of this thing. More. We'll talk about greed tomorrow. But lusting, you can lust after a possession. You can lust after a position. You can lust after a person. You can lust after pussy or penis. You can lust after money. You can lust after pretty much anything. Don't get it fully twisted with promiscuity, right? Promiscuity is essentially sexual. But lust doesn't necessarily need to be, because it's very covetous. Now, is it often that you're lusting after a person or their body or something surface level and sexual like that? Yes, often it is. So lust, the root of lust is a trickier one than pride or wrath, because pride is ego and wrath is emotional. Lust is very physical in a lot of ways. It has to do with the physical comforts you can be provided, right? Pride is very mental. Wrath is very emotional. Lust is very physical. It's very concrete. And so what I have found a lot of times, and this is not just me, this is psychology, this is trauma experts, this is sexual healers and coaches and experts and all these people. What we do a lot of times is we will channel. Sex is the easiest thing biologically for us. It feels good. We're all hardwired to do it in some capacity. Now, I would say sexuality falls on a sort of a spectrum, not homo or heterosexual like that. I mean sexual, not promiscuity, sexual drive, right? Sexual drive falls on like a spectrum. And so some people I know are very not interested in sex much at all, you know. Then some people are hyper interested in sex because they're like, body physically demands it, like hunger, you know. Men more so, I'd say, than women, but not completely true, because I will say as a woman, I have a very high sex drive, and I have actually always had a very high sex drive. So for me, sex has always been a very complex topic. As a woman, you're always vilified for being sexual, until, of course, you become a sex symbol or a sex object, in which case you're celebrated for it. And so women and sex is its own whole scope of things. But at the end of the day, for the most part, unless you're somebody like, I don't know, Paige Sporanic, right? Or like Pamela Anderson, or any of these busty, blonde, beautiful women, who I'm sure are very nice too. Like, I'm sure they're great people, but nobody focuses on that. If you're, or Kim Kardashian, right? Like, she's, at the end of the day, she's very smart. She launched her family pretty much into like this empire, but claim to fame is always sexual. People are more interested in her husband's or her sex tape or her body or what she's wearing than like her mind or what she's doing or what she's being an activist for, right? And so we vilify women in sexual ways until we put them on a pedestal and kind of lust after them ourselves and covet after them ourselves. We have a huge lust problem in our culture nowadays, and you can tell by OnlyFans, right? OnlyFans, I'm not knocking it, and you know what? I can't lie to you. I really wanted to do it. Like, I started one, I made an account. I was close, guys. Like, I want to do an OnlyFans so bad, because it's like, well, why not show off this body? Like, why not? And it was just not the thing for me to do. Fine. But I'm not going to knock anybody, man or woman, who does an OnlyFans, because like, why not? people will pay for it. Do you know why people will pay for it? Because they're lusting and coveting after something they can't have. And everybody does have a base desire for sex on some spectrum. So it's not the want of sex that's the issue. It's the lack of control over it. It's the lack of discipline where it is concerned. When you're in lust, you have no discipline. You have no discipline. That's where lust is really the issue. Because we can see things all day that we want, but we're not thinking on it, lusting after it, trying to make it happen, trying to go for it. Or if we are, it's in a more balanced way, right? And so we all, I think, I'm going to make this claim. You can agree or disagree. We all have a lust. We all can fall susceptible to lust on some sort of scale, some way, shape, or form. There's always things that we're going to kind of want. However, lust has a hard time with satisfaction. Lust has a hard time with satisfaction. I would say lust and greed are never satisfied. And they're so similar in a lot of ways. Greed more so, but lust is never satisfied because it's not, you can't get enough of X, Y, or Z thing. And that's extraordinarily dangerous. You know, it's a tough thing because it means you are very out of control. All of these vices will put you out of control of self. And by the way, for the most part, a lot of these things that I'm talking about, mental blocks, mental strongholds, things that we struggle with, they take you out of control of self. The things that I like to talk about that are more virtuous, right, like honor, discipline, they put you in control of yourself. If you want to know what people mean when they say personal power, basically it means you guard your time, energy, attention, and money well. You're in your personal power, you're doing that. You know who you are and what you want. You're very solid in your beliefs, you're very solid in your foundation. You're open-minded, but also you have a very concrete, solid way of showing up. You show up pretty consistently. Those are all things that put you in your personal power. Discipline, courage, honor, truth, those are things that put you in a personal place of power. Greed, wrath, lust, pride, those are things that take you out of it. Those are things that give external circumstances control over you. Therefore, you're out of your personal power. Lust is one of these things that we want to be mindful of. What are we lusting after? What are we wishing for? What are we wanting? What are we desiring, right? Lust is so much about desire. And we all have desires. We all do, you know? And this is why I think probably everybody has a capacity to fall into lust in some way, not promiscuity, but lusting after, coveting after, desiring something intensely, right? And so if you know that this is an issue for you, that you want to really check yourself before you wreck yourself. Lust is tough because sometimes a physical component gets involved in it, so your body gets addicted to X, Y, or Z thing. You know, that's why we've got a huge porn problem, that's why we've got a huge masturbation problem. Like anything in moderation, we can, you know, but lust is not ever in moderation. So hard to keep lust in moderation. And so, you know, we have a huge problem in our culture now with all of these things, which if you have this, or you know you've got this, or you fall susceptible to it, what I would suggest, if you don't want to go to therapy, because I know therapy is always like a great first step, but hey, not everybody wants to do it, fine. If you have lust concerns, issues, things that you struggle with, the first thing that I would say you want to pull yourself back from, you have to get your brain in gear, and you have to start, I don't want to say being grateful, but it's more like, I see that thing, I acknowledge that I want that thing. Why do I want it? What does it say about me? Right? You have to start doing a deeper introspection of self. What am I not satisfied with in my old life? Like, why do I want this thing? It's like, oh, well, I just want pussy. No, that's not true. You want to feel good. You want to feel good, and you don't, and vagina makes you feel better, right? Oh, I just want to go out to the bars and look good. No, you want attention, right? Oh, I just want to have this car. No, you want status. You want to feel powerful. You want to feel important. You want to feel influential. Anything that you're wanting out in the reality of things, the 3D world, is always going to show it's always going to lie in you something that you feel like you're lacking. And it's always more than the surface level thing. Humans are too complex. Even the most simple of humans is not simple. Maybe shallow, never simple. And so if you have a lust issue, you want to get really good at introspection. Pay attention to, okay, yes, I want this thing. I'm acknowledging I want this thing. I might still go after this thing, right? Awareness comes first, then action. Awareness comes first. These are the things I lust after. I know I'm lusting after them. Why am I lusting after them? Why do I want this thing? What does it say about me? I'm not going to judge myself. Don't judge yourself. It's not worth it. Just acknowledge to yourself, right? I'm going to have to talk about judgment because we do it too often. We are our own worst self-critics, but I'll talk about that a different time and a different day. So yeah, these are pretty big strongholds that we have that I'm tackling here. And so as somebody who has struggled with wanting, desiring, lusting after things and promiscuity myself, like, hey, like I said, I picked my sins first. Pride, wrath, lust. So I know them pretty intimately. The next couple, I don't struggle with them as much. It doesn't mean in a different season of my life I couldn't struggle with them or I haven't kind of like fallen a little bit into. But for the most part, like these are the biggies that I know if I'm not mindful of, I can really get into trouble with. But again, my sins are not your sins. And so hopefully this series is really helpful to you to just bring you into awareness about the things that you struggle with, because like we all struggle with things. Like we're here, we're human. Of course we do, right? So if this is helping you, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, comment below, tell your friends, grow the channel. If you are looking to take some more aligned action, acornsandoaks.bhx.tv has some courses there for you that will help. And I will see you guys on the next video.